Love a good debate here on the show, and this morning on a Friday we've got a great one lined up, so I want to bring in our expert panel here. We start with the former Lieutenant Governor of New York, Betsy McCaughey, friend of the show, and Democratic strategist and former consultant for the Department of Homeland Security, friend of the show also, Mustafa Tameez. The topic, unsurprisingly, Joe Biden's first press conference. Took him 64 days to get out there. He spoke for 62 minutes. Many pointing out there is a major difference between the way that Joe Biden and former President Trump were treated during their inaugural press conferences. We start with Joe Biden. Listen.
You've said over and over again that immigrants shouldn't come to this country right now. This isn't the time to come. That message is not being received. Instead, the perception of you that got you elected as a moral, decent man is the reason why a lot of immigrants are coming to this country and entrusting you with unaccompanied minors.
Well, look, I guess I should be flattered. People are coming because I'm the nice guy. That's the reason why it's happening. That I'm a decent man, or however it's phrased. That, that's why they're coming, because Biden's a good guy.
All right, a little bit of a contrast. If you want to rewind the clock to February 2017, here's Donald Trump. Take a listen.
I guess my question is, why should Americans trust you when you accuse the information they receive of being fake when you're providing information that's
well, I was given that information.
It sounds as though you do not have much credibility here when it comes to leaking, if that is something that you encourage during the campaign.
Fair question. Ready?
If I may ask you that.
No, but let me do one at a time. Do you mind?
I was hoping that we could get a yes or no answer on one of these questions involving Russia. Can you say whether you are aware that anyone who advised your campaign had contacts with Russia during the course of the election?
I miss him already. Okay, yesterday it was all the AP, Nancy Cordish, CBS, Yamiche, Kristen Welker, Janet from Univision. Not one single conservative network, print or on television, was asked, given the opportunity to ask a question yesterday. Betsy, what's your take on how things went yesterday?
My take is that in addition to all the issues you raised, including Biden's mental feebleness, frailty, the real issue is the lies. Take immigration, which was on the top of the list. Biden said, oh, it's this way every year. The fact is, this is the most people coming across the border at one time in 20 years, and the most unaccompanied minors ever. Then Biden said, well, we're sending the vast majority back. Lie number two, only 13% are being sent back, not the vast majority. Lie number three, well, it's all Trump's fault. We inherited a wreck. The fact is that he has dismantled the precautions that Trump put in place, the wall, the Remain in Mexico program, that kept migrants from coming across the border.
Betsy, let me bring in Mustafa here so we can...
Immediately. And not lie number four, the worst of all, is when he suggested that Trump allowed children to starve to death on the other side of the border. Wrong. He put them in airplanes and sent them back to their country.
That's a good point. Okay, Betsy, I want to bring in Mustafa. Mustafa, were you impressed? 62 minutes, 10 questions. That means that on average, his answers were just over 6 minutes. Do you think that yesterday President Biden put to bed any questions that he might be in the midst of cognitive decline?
Look, I want to warn Republicans. When Democrats try to do the same thing with Ronald Reagan, and we remember him as one of the most favored president in opinion polls in the United States history. And Republicans are doing the same thing. They're trying to manufacture this myth that somehow he's feeble and somehow he doesn't remember things, and trying to pick individual clips about that. It didn't work back then for Democrats. It's not going to work for Republicans today. And in regards to what Betsy just said, like Biden got rid of the wall. Really, Trump never built the wall. That is the honest truth.
Well, he built 440 miles of it. Mustafa, hold on one second.
Some of the wall, built a little bit of it.
He built 440 miles of it, which is pretty significant.
He did not live up to his promise.
Hold on, I want to get your reaction to this soundbite. Joe Biden, Ronald Reagan in 1994 wrote a letter to the American people 5 years after he left office saying that, yes, he does have Alzheimer's, okay? I'm not saying Joe Biden has Alzheimer's, but that is a fact when it comes to Ronald Reagan. Here is Joe Biden yesterday, where it seems like he lost his train of thought. There was a little bit of a short circuit. Take a look at this clip, then I want to get your reaction, Mustafa. Go ahead.
I'm going to say something outrageous. I have never been particularly poor at calculating how to get things done in the United States Senate. So the best way to get something done, if it holds near and dear to you that you like to be able to Anyway, we're going to get a lot done.
Mustafa, explain what we just saw.
I can show you endless clips of President Trump rambling. We all remember when people used to say he couldn't lift the glass with one hand. Listen, this is done all the time. It doesn't work for Democrats. It doesn't work for Republicans. This is just the kind of fodder that we talk about on our news shows on cable. But this isn't reality. What's important is to make sure that the policies that President Biden is enacting is working for America. Everyone is getting a check. Everyone's getting vaccines in their arms. We're moving forward as a nation, and that's why he's popular. That's why his policies
Betsy,
are popular.
jump in.
Not
Hold
just
on.
with Democrats.
Yeah, well,
but
it's
with
not working for
Independents and
Americans
Republicans.
because the crisis that we're calling a border crisis is actually heading to a school district, a community near you. Some of the people being put on the buses are COVID positive.
Look,
they're being sent around the country anyway. And most of the children who are being bused to keep
Hang on one sec,
Make
Mustafa.
sure
Hang on one sec.
are teenagers who have not been in school and don't speak English.
We should be
Mustafa,
tough on
what'd you make
Biden
of the line?
administration to
Mustafa,
make
what'd you
sure
make of the
they're
line of
living up to our
questioning
values.
yesterday? The questions that the 10 reporters that were called on asked. I mean, this was not. Nobody was pressing Joe Biden.
Listen, in the last administration, they didn't used to have a daily White House briefing. I mean, come on. After generations of White Houses having a daily briefing, the last administration stopped doing briefings. The only time President Trump took questions when there was a helicopter in the background and nobody could hear, and only selectively picked and choose questions that he wanted to answer, and he didn't even answer those. Look,
Don't buy
this is not
Mustafa's
the important part.
argument
I
that
think
this
I
is
agree with
working
Betsy
for
that what's
Americans.
happening
It
at
is
the
not.
border is concerning.
Panel, we've got about 30 seconds. Betsy, I want to give you the final thought. Go ahead.
Biden's programs are not working for Americans. That's why he had to get up and lie yesterday. If he could tell the truth and make people happy, he would. But he lied, and unfortunately, networks like CNN covered up the lies right afterwards, writing glowing reports of his news conference when it was a pile of lies and missteps.
Panel, great stuff. Unfortunately, we have to leave it there. Mustafa, Tameez, Betsy McCaughey, I enjoyed this. I hope we can pick this back up, by the way, next week. Good to see both of you. Have a great weekend.
See you.
All right, when we come back.
You just watched Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news channel, now in more than 70 million homes. You can get Newsmax TV on your cable system or check your cable guide. And if your system doesn't carry Newsmax, call them, tell them you want Newsmax TV, because we're real news for real people.